Running Up the Score. You're listening to the Running Up the Score podcast. Now here's your host, Jerry Napoleonello.
Running Up the Score, we are back. I'm Jerry Napoleonello. Let's get it. We got week 12 coming up tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has fun eating some turkey, ham, however you lamb, whatever it is, Italian food, whatever. I'm hoping for a nice win by the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I'm hoping for Thanksgiving. I'd be very thankful of that. We got the Giants. So it's a pretty nice schedule for Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty pumped for it. Bills, Lions, Cowboys, Giants, Patriots, Vikings. So, before we get into the Cowboys or the Vikings, we're going to get into some what we learned in week 11. Also, we're going to get into some card talk. We got some release week stuff. An incredible story on a LeBron James exquisite rookie auto. I think it's an RPA, actually. And also, we had a card sell last week. A Luka Doncic 1-of-1 logo man. And we'll discuss what happened with that as well. But let's get into some football talk here. Here we go. So prior to this week, everybody's been talking about this team, and I don't know why. I mean, I understand why, but I just don't know why everybody is so high on them. Okay. And I've been on record saying this basically all season long. This team's not good. And it's the Philadelphia Eagles. So they finally take their first loss against the Washington Commanders. And I'll talk about them in a little bit because I got some, I have a very high opinion on the Washington Commanders. But the Eagles lose their first game last week. They come into this week, play against the Colts. The Colts are one of those teams that heading into the season, we were like, that's going to be a good team. They add Matt Ryan to an already potent offense, to a very good defense, to arguably the best running back in the league. That team's going to be solid this year. It has not. Matt Ryan has not been solid. So much so that they benched Matt Ryan. Frank Reich got fired. They hire, and this was a big thing going into this past week, they hire Jeff Saturday. A guy, yes, that is one of the best centers to ever play the game, but has never coached before. Not high school, not college, and certainly not the NFL. Now, I understand what he was saying in the press conference. I've been in this league for however many years. I've been around Hall of Famers, this, that. Don't get me wrong. That's true. You're 110% true on that. But you've never been in that position. So for you to get the highest of high, positions without really doing anything, I mean, that screams this... That screams this generation, really. Because there's... And I'm not even really going to get into that. But, I mean, it's just the way it is. But, so, the Eagles head into Indy to face this Colts team who ended up starting Matt Ryan again. They brought him back in. They won the week prior. Now they go against the 8-1 Eagles. And the Colts had the lead the entire game. They held the Eagles to no touchdowns the entire game up until the last minute, 2 minutes, whatever it was. So, I mean, my question, because when we really sit back, all right, yes, prior to this Washington game, the Eagles were 8-0, okay? And everybody was so high on them. I never put them in my top spot on my power rankings this season. Because I know what kind of team this is. I know what they're about. I watch them just as much as I watch the Dallas Cowboys. And this really has, I mean, there is some bias in that. But in reality, though, I'm like sitting here, you look at this team. Okay. So we'll go into, like there really the question that I'm trying to propose here is, were they even that dominant this year? And like that's the reason why I didn't have them number one at all ever in my power rankings. Because I don't see them going into Kansas City and beating the Chiefs. I don't even see them having the Chiefs come into them and beat the Chiefs. I don't see them beating the Bills either. So those are two teams that I feel are more dominant. Yes, they may have more losses, but they're more dominant than the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles have not played a goddamn soul this season. Every team that they've played has been shit. I mean, let's be totally honest on this, all right? We're going to go game by game. Week 1, they play the Detroit Lions. They win by 3. 38-35. Yes, now we're looking at the Detroit Lions like, all right, yeah, maybe they're, a playoff team here. I mean, they have a solid offense. Their defense is absolutely dog shit. But at this moment right now, they've won 3 in a row. But at that moment, we didn't know what we were going to get from the Lions. We just felt like this game, the Eagles should wipe the Lions clean. They didn't. It was a close game. 38-35. Okay? So, that great defense that they keep talking about gave up 35 points to the Detroit Lions. Okay? Week 2, the Minnesota Vikings come into Philly. Now, Minnesota Vikings coming into the season, we thought this team was going to be very good. Okay? They go into that game. They didn't look good at all. They didn't. And we were starting to question what kind of Minnesota Vikings team we were going to see this season. Granted, after this game, they string off a bunch of wins. That turns into their only loss going into this past week. So then we're like, all right, maybe the Minnesota Vikings are for real. So they beat the Minnesota Vikings before they really hit their stride. And they beat them 24-7. Week 3 at the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders, and I'm going to be talking about them in depth very soon, but the Washington Commanders with Carson Wentz were horrible. Carson Wentz is horrible, and he should not be in the NFL anymore. I'm sorry. Carson Wentz is bad. He really is. So they beat them 24-8. Division rival. Okay. You know what? Washington had some injuries at the time, but again, they had Carson Wentz as their quarterback. I see this. Washington's bad at this point. Then they go and they play the Jacksonville Jaguars home, and they only beat them by 8. And there was at a point where Jacksonville looked like they could have had a hold of this game. The Eagles win it 29-21. Another pretty shitty team that they beat. Then they go against Arizona. In Arizona. They beat them only by 3, 20-17. And we're seeing this team now. Arizona is horrible. Horrible. Then they go against Dallas. Dallas, who there was a question that you may see Dak. This was the week where you were expecting Dak to come back. I applaud the Cowboys not starting Dak because it just wasn't the right time. The Cowboys go into that game with Cooper Rush, and they only lose by 9. Mind you, this is in Philly. And an offense that just could not move the ball. And they only lost by 9. Then you got a bye week. So now they're coming out of the bye week 6-0. They go in, they have Pittsburgh come in. Pittsburgh, a team that just started a rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett. And this is another dog shit. The Pittsburgh Steelers, horrible. And the Eagles beat them handily, 35-13. Then they go at Houston, and they win the game 29-17. They're 8-0. Okay, so Houston, the worst team in the NFL. Pittsburgh, dog shit. Dallas, backup quarterback that couldn't move the ball, horrible. Arizona, god-awful. Jacksonville, bad. Washington, at the time, with Carson Wentz, horrible. Minnesota, at the time, not catching their stride. Detroit, gave them a run for their money. At the time, not good. Then, finally, they come and they see Washington at home with Taylor Heineke. And Washington beats them up. Without Chase Young, Washington beats them up. Wins 32-21. And then, this past week, they go into Indy and laid a goose egg for most of the game. And then finally scored that last touchdown with like 50 seconds left. This team has not been dominant, okay? They're not even dominating teams that they should be dominating. Okay? So, don't come at me on social media and say, why don't you have the Eagles, or that my lists are bad because I don't have the Eagles at number 1. They're not number 1. They're not number 2. Right now, I have them at number 2 because the Bills hit a little bit of a speed bump. But I'm sure the Bills are going to move back up very soon. But, I mean, let's be serious, people. This Eagles team's not that good. And when we're looking at it, the rest of their schedule, okay, they got the Green Bay Packers this week, Sunday night, at home. They should win that game. Green Bay's pretty bad. Then they're at home against Tennessee. This is going to be a tough game, and we're going to see what the Eagles are made of. Tennessee is one of those teams that we're like, okay, they're a pretty dominant team against teams that they should beat. Against teams that, may be a little close, or are just as good as they are. They don't look as dominant. So I'm interested to see what kind of Titans team we're going to get. Ryan Tannehill, he's just one of those quarterbacks that just, he's an okay quarterback. He's not going to be the reason why you lose a game, basically. So, I mean, he's not going to be the reason why you lose against them. He will be a reason why you lose the game if you are a Titan. So then after that, they're at New Jersey to play the New Jersey Giants. Then they're at Chicago to play the Chicago Bears, which, I mean, they should beat them pretty handily. This is the game after this, Christmas Eve. This is the game that I want to see what we're going to see from the Eagles. This is a game that I want to see what the Cowboys are made of. Dallas Cowboys, home, Christmas Eve, Philadelphia Eagles. 4:25, baby. I am excited for that game. Okay? Then we move on after that. They got the New Orleans Saints, and then they got the Giants again. So, really, Tennessee and the Dallas Cowboys are the two teams that, they may pick up losses against, and we'll see. That's going to be the difference in if they win the number 1 seed in the NFC or they even have to get a wild card spot and lose the division lead, let alone the number 1 seed. But I guess, before we go on to some others, I want to go into my list, my power rankings. I just posted it. I think I posted on TikTok, and that was really it. But I want to just get into it here. So we'll start from 10. Number 10, for the first time this season, they have moved in to my power rankings. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because this is a team that has now, they basically, they haven't been good. They haven't been, terrible. They've been coasting. They're middle of the pack. Their record is not great. They're 5-5 now. But when you look at the rest of their record, okay, so now they just rattled off 2 good wins in a row. And when you look at the rest of their schedule, this is a team that's going to be tops in the NFC because of the rest of their schedule. They are at Cleveland. That's a win. They're home against New Orleans. Should be a win, but New Orleans gives them problems. At San Francisco, that's the toughest game of their rest of their schedule. Cincinnati's going to be tough, but San Francisco will be the toughest. Then they're at Arizona, home against Carolina, and at Atlanta. This is a team that will probably be, they're definitely winning the South. So we could put that. But I like Tampa Bay now moving into my power rankings at number 10. So now we go to number 9. Big drop-off for my number 9 team because of what they showed on Sunday. The Minnesota Vikings. They are 8-2. This is an 8-2 team that I have at the 9th spot. The rest of their schedule, New England, the Jets, at Detroit, Colts, Giants, at Green Bay, at Chicago. The rest of their schedule is pretty tough. New England, their defense is tough. The Jets, their defense is tough, but their offense is horrible, and I'm going to talk about Zach Wilson very soon. Detroit, their offense is unbelievable. Their defense, not so much. Indianapolis, pretty balanced team. Giants, I think they finally hit the spot where they're going to come back down to reality. The Packers, you don't know what you're going to get. And then the Chicago Bears, which are giving teams headaches right now. Justin Fields giving people headaches. But usually the teams come out and win eventually. Number 8, I have the Baltimore Ravens. 7-3 right now. They got at Jacksonville, home against Denver, at Pittsburgh, at Cleveland, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, at Cincinnati. That's a good run for the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. My number 7 team, San Francisco 49ers. They're 6-4. They had a dominant game against Arizona and Mexico City on Monday night. And this catapulted them to the number 7 team. This team's going to be tough. This team is absolutely going to be tough. The rest of their schedule, they got the Saints, the Dolphins, the Bucs, at Seattle, Washington, at the Vegas Raiders, and then home against Arizona. That's a tough rest of their schedule, and I am interested to see where this San Francisco 49ers team will be. This is a team that in the beginning of the season, I said this is a Super Bowl caliber roster that this team has. Absolutely. They lose Trey Lance, bring in Jimmy G. He catapults them. Do I think Jimmy G could win them a Super Bowl? No. But this is a very good team. My number 6 team is the Tennessee Titans. As I said, this is a team that is dominant against the teams that they should be dominant against. And then they'll have games against good teams where it's like, this team could be so good, but their quarterback sucks. They are home against Cincinnati, at Philly, home against Jacksonville, at the Chargers, home against Houston, home against Dallas, and at Jacksonville. Tough schedule for the Tennessee Titans down the stretch. We have the Miami Dolphins as my 5 team. They are 7-3. They have Houston, at San Francisco, at the Chargers, at the Bills, at the Patriots, and then home against the Jets. The Miami Dolphins have a very, very tough schedule coming down the stretch. The number 4 team is the Dallas Cowboys at 7-3. They have the Giants, the Colts, the Houston Texans. Then they're at Jacksonville, home against Philly, at Tennessee, and at Washington. And then the number 3 team, the Buffalo Bills. They are back on track after 2 straight losses. They are 7-3. They're at Detroit. They are at New England. They are home against the Jets, home against the Dolphins, at Chicago, at Cincinnati, and then home against New England to end the season. My number 2 team is the team that we were just talking about, the Philadelphia Eagles, the 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles. They have the Green Bay Packers, the Tennessee Titans. They're home against the Giants. They have Green Bay, home. They have Tennessee, home. They are at New Jersey. They are at Chicago. They are at Dallas. And then they're home against the Saints. And they're home against the Giants. And then the number 1 team is the number 1 team, the Kansas City Chiefs. 8-2 Kansas City Chiefs. They have the Rams. That is going to be a blowout. Then they're at the Cincinnati Bengals. They're at the Denver Broncos. They are home against Houston. They are home against Seattle. They are home against Denver. And then they end the season at the Las Vegas Raiders, where they lock up the number 1 seed overall. So there you have it. That is the power rankings from Running Up the Score. Now, moving on, I wanted to talk about the Giants here. So we were talking about the Eagles before. The Giants, moving forward, have one of the toughest schedules there is. And they took a very, very bad loss against the Lions this past week. And I mean a very, very bad. This is a team that is so centered on the run game, whether it be Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones running the ball. Daniel Jones has been playing pretty well leading up into this game. He looked terrible in this game. The offense looked terrible in this game. I'm telling you, this is one of the worst defenses in the league. I think actually statistically they are the worst defense in the league. And the Giants could not do anything against them. The Giants, as I said, are a very good run team. They're tops in the league. And they couldn't run it against the league's worst run defense. I think we're starting to see the Giants come back down to earth. And I'm hoping that people realize that. Giant fans, I hope you're realizing this. The Giants are coming back down to earth. Okay? The Jets. And now, mind you, this is the remaining schedule for the Giants. They're at Dallas. They're home against Washington. They're home against Philly. They're at Washington. They're home against Minnesota. They're at Minnesota. They're home against the Colts, and they're at Philly. That is a tough schedule. You're playing the NFC East 5 out of your next 7 games. And you're already 0-1 against the division. So, I mean, good luck. Because, as I was saying before, Washington is becoming a solid team with Taylor Heineke. So, yeah, the Giants are in trouble, and I think Earth, hello. I guess we'll move over to the other locker room in that stadium. The Jets suck. Sorry. The Jets suck. Zach Wilson sucks too. Looks like he's never played a game of football in his life. And then looked even worse in the press conference, which I didn't think could actually be possible to look worse than what he looked like on the field, but he looked worse in the press conference. They asked him, do you feel like you let down the defense? Now, mind you, the Jets defense is actually very good. And it's the reason they're at this position that they're in. I think they're, 6-4? So, for me, it's like, I felt like this team wasn't good. I mean, it was just funny that people started to really like harp on them. I mean, I even put them in the top 10 in my power rankings, which was crazy. And I think I only had them in for a week, and then they lost to the Patriots, and then I took them right out because, I mean, they went 4 straight games. You know, they beat the Steelers. They waxed the Dolphins, but again, Dolphins didn't have Tua in that game. They beat the Packers. They beat the Denver Broncos, but, I mean, the Packers are bad. The Broncos are bad. The Miami Dolphins didn't have Tua. The Steelers are bad. And then they played a team that was pretty bad, actually, in the Patriots, and they lost to them. And they looked like they never played football in their lives at that time. And then they beat the Bills, and then everybody was like, all right, but I wasn't sipping on the tea because, you know, after that Patriots game, I said, all right, well, this is a team that can't even beat the Patriots, who aren't really that good anymore. You know, Mac Jones is having a really off season. And I mean, off season as in, we don't really know what Mac Jones is. He looked pretty good in the year before, but that was his rookie season. And not many people knew what to expect from Mac. And not that, I mean, the Patriots won a game last year where they threw the ball, I think, twice. So that was, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you don't know how good Mac Jones is, if he even is good. So the fact that you lose to the Patriots after I had you in the top 10 in the power rankings, you were 5-2 at the time. And then you lose to the Patriots, which I kind of saw coming at the time. I wasn't sipping on the tea. I pulled them right out of the power rankings right away. And then they beat the Bills, and people put them back in. And then I was like, no, that's not happening. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because this team is just... I don't know what to say about this team because I watched Zach Wilson, and I'm like, all right, this guy really... I mean, the signs, you see like very, very small signs the last 2 years of Zach Wilson where it's like, okay, maybe he is good. And then you see more of this, Zach Wilson. But in the press conference, as I said, he looked worse than he did on the field. And it's really baffling that could even be possible. In a 10-3 game where the Jets give up a last-second kick return or punt return, he comes up to the podium and they ask, do you feel like you let down the defense? Without hesitation, he says, no.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
Thank you. Room's open.
Dude, you're the quarterback of the team, okay? And I hate to even say this, but as the quarterback of the team, there's a lot of leadership that comes with that. And you have to take accountability. You know, your team just put up 3 points. You looked like a blind quarterback. And no matter what, even if you had a good game and you still lost, you have to take accountability to that. And he didn't. And now they're benching him. Robert Saleh benched Zach Wilson for Mike White. Now, the other head-scratching thing to me is, why go to Mike White when you have Joe Flacco sitting there as well? And in the time that Zach Wilson was hurt, Joe Flacco played pretty well. I mean, not great, but he played all right. Why not use him? So that was a head scratcher there for me. But Zach Wilson, I mean, I'm starting to lean towards like, I think he's really not that good. I mean, and even in hobby talk, you know, in terms of sports cards, it's crazy to see his prices, you know, are still actually kind of, you know, still high, not crazy high what he used to be, but still high. And I don't know if I'm investing in Zach Wilson. I mean, if you like, I know a lot of people have, and it's crazy to me to even like, for me to watch this guy on the field and then say, all right, yeah, I'm gonna like, I'm definitely gonna invest in this guy. So this is actually a crazy drop off. Actually, a crazy high kick. His Prism base sold on the 21st for $1.85, and then there was another sale for $5.50 the next day, which, you know, he's been very choppy lately. We'll do 6 months, and he's incredibly down. Okay, so look how crazy this is. Okay, as of June 2nd, 2022, this card went for $45. He went down to now being $5. That's an 86.25% drop in rate of growth. That's a $34.50 real dollar change. I mean, that's insane. And I mean, let's see if we get his silver here. And that's for raw. So we look for silver. Here it is. His silver as of June 6th, okay? $330. Sold yesterday. What's today, actually? Oh, yeah, yesterday, the 22nd, for $14.50. Zach Wilson dropped. Zach Wilson dropped heavy. With the silver, his rate of growth is negative 95%. That is absurd. I mean, that's an incredible drop. And this is, let's see a PSA 10. PSA 9. Yeah, here we go. PSA 10 of his silver. On, what is that, October? That's August. August 16th. Sold for $660. As of today, sold for $130. A PSA 10 of his Prism rookie silver. That's absurd. He's down 80% in this one. I mean, that's crazy. But now we move on. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Okay, the Cowboys, I will say right now, okay, the Dallas Cowboys had the most dominant game, the most complete game of any team in the NFL this season, this past week against the Minnesota Vikings. They beat a very, very good team in the Minnesota Vikings by 37. But not just by 37. And not only that, they beat a very good Minnesota Vikings team by 37 in their home. They went into Minnesota and they said, we're about to show you what the Dallas Cowboys are capable of. And they put together the most complete game of the NFL season. And you know what? I was not mad about it. And I'll tell you right now, that might have been the best game I've ever seen the Dallas Cowboys play in my life. In my life, dude. I'm 32 years old. And that was the most comfortable I've ever been watching the Dallas Cowboys play football. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm never comfortable watching the Dallas Cowboys play football against anybody. Because no matter how big of a lead they have, it always comes down to the end. You got a 14-point lead against a pretty bad Packers team in Lambeau going into the fourth quarter. And they lost. So, listen. I mean, you could see the gray hair in my beard. I'm all gray in the hair. It's literally, some people will say, oh, I get gray hair from my kids, or I get gray hair from my wife, or whatever, or work. No, I get gray hair because of the Dallas Cowboys. It's absurd. And the fact that I could sit back here and say the Dallas Cowboys played the best game that I've ever seen, it's absurd. It's crazy. I've watched every single game since I could even remember. They played the most mistakeless NFL game I have ever seen them play. And it was against a good team. And it was at their home. I mean, it's just it's actually giving me the goosebumps to even say something like that. So, before I get to the real question, but I want to get into this. We got a huge game coming up tomorrow on Thanksgiving against the Giants. Now, this team cannot go from the best game that I've ever seen them play in my lifetime to go have the Giants come in to Dallas and beat them. That can't happen. You have to continue this. The Dallas Cowboys have to run the ball. Keep the possession like you did against the Minnesota Vikings. They had 24 minutes of possession in that game. And I said this even going back to the 2011 team? 2014, 2015 team, whatever it was, with DeMarco Murray. That was a team that dominated possession. And that's what made them so good. Possession is such a big stat when it comes to individual games. If you show me a team that leads the league in possession time, I'll tell you they're a top 5 team. It's like almost a guarantee because you're keeping the team that you're playing. You're keeping their offense off the field. You're keeping their defense on the field. And you're just beating them up. And can we talk about this whole Pollard and Zeke debate? Why does it have to be a debate? Why do they have to pick someone? You know, all I hear is everybody say, oh, well, you know, Pollard, you got to put him in now. You got to make him the starter. Why do they have to? They have a good thing going right now. They have a two-headed monster. Even when Zeke starts the game, Zeke will get most likely the first two series, and then Pollard gets the next one, and possibly the next one after that. They're doing well, both of them. They have, it's one of the best two-headed monsters in the league right now. It's so dynamic. Why do they have to pick one guy? It does not make sense. Can we stop with the debate about Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott? Because I'll tell you, I'm sitting here right now, and I'll tell you right now that there is a lot of things that Tony Pollard can't do that Ezekiel Elliott does very well. And for you to turn around and say, oh, Tony Pollard should be the feature back, and you might as well just get rid of Zeke. It's absurd. Because, you know what? Against Minnesota, the Cowboys gave Tony Pollard 2 chances to get into the end zone at the 2. And he couldn't do it. You bring Zeke in, 1 play, and he's in the end zone. But there's things that Tony Pollard can't do that Tony Pollard can do that Zeke can't. Like doing the wheel route and basically beating the whole team to the end zone. Zeke is not at that point anymore in his career. But you give that man the ball at the 1 yard line, 9 out of 10 times he's in the end zone. So don't give me that crap. You know, what Zeke does for that team is so underappreciated, it's not even funny. Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best blocking running backs in the league. That's one. Number 2, he's one of the most physical running backs in the league. It's so underappreciated, it's not even funny. What Zeke does to help Tony Pollard out. I mean, all right, so where was Tony Pollard in the Packers game? Riddle me that. Because I can tell you right now, that was a perfect Ezekiel Elliott game. That was a game that the Dallas Cowboys could have really used Ezekiel Elliott. And they didn't have him, and they lost a 14-point lead and lost the game in the fourth quarter. Reminds me a lot of Marion Barber and Felix Jones. But nobody looks at it that way. So let's stop with the whole Pollard and Zeke debate and just appreciate the two-headed monster that the Dallas Cowboys have going on to one of the more dynamic offenses in the league. And you know what? To add to the more dynamic offenses in the league, how about Odell Beckham? Odell is hanging in the balance. And I think Jerry Jones just needs to snatch him down and put that star on his helmet. You add Odell Beckham to CeeDee Lamb, to Michael Gallup, to Tony Pollard, to Ezekiel Elliott, to Dalton Schultz, and to Dak Prescott. Whew. That offense is looking real good. Okay, we saw what Odell could do for the Rams last year. Something the Dallas Cowboys need. Because we're seeing how dynamic CeeDee Lamb is. And just imagine if you bring in Odell and now CeeDee Lamb's got one-on-one or Odell's got one-on-one or most... Now, if that happens, I will tell you right now, Michael Gallup will only see one-on-ones. And I will tell you, you throw the ball up to Michael Gallup, he's the one coming down with it. He's the perfect one-on-one wide receiver, whether it be just going up and getting it over a defender or beating a guy down the field on basically a 9 route. One-on-one is going to be perfect for Michael Gallup, and if you bring in Odell, that's what you're going to get. You're going to see an uptick in Michael Gallup. You're going to see an uptick in CeeDee Lamb. You're definitely going to see an uptick in Zeke and Tony. So this is a big move that the Dallas Cowboys need to do. They need Odell Beckham. I can't wait to see what happens. So, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, we might as well just get right into them. Minnesota Vikings. I don't even know what to say about that loss against the Dallas Cowboys. I really don't. It was embarrassing. I will say that. And it definitely poses the question, is this team actually for real? I mean, it's Kirk Cousins. It like that's what it comes down to. It's Kirk Cousins. Like, he's the problem. But he's also, I mean, it's tough because when you look at teams like San Francisco, you look at teams like Tennessee, and then you have Minnesota as one of those teams as well. And I mean, I could even put the Eagles in there as well. These are teams with quarterbacks that are going to win you games at times in the season. But when it comes down to the playoffs, it doesn't work out. They're just not made for it. You know, like I said, if Jimmy Garoppolo was not the quarterback of the 49ers, I think they would have been in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And Jimmy Garoppolo right now is doing his thing. But again, it's going to come down to him going into the playoffs, and it's just not. He's not going to cut it. Ryan Tannehill, another one, just not going to cut it. It's tough to say because, you know, the team's doing so well, but it's also like, it's the truth. It really is the truth. So, for the Minnesota Vikings, yeah, they're a good team when they're playing teams that they should be beating up on. Kirk Cousins plays well in those games. But then there's games like primetime games, and Kirk Cousins just is not good. There comes, 4 o'clock games, and just Kirk Cousins not good. 1 o'clock games, Kirk Cousins great. 4 o'clock games, not good. Primetime games, not good. It's crazy. But Justin Jefferson also, he went MIA in that game. And it's crazy. I mean, listen, the craziest thing, and I said it right from the beginning. The 2 games prior for the Dallas Cowboys, or, the games, let's say the Eagles game and the Packers game, and the games in between also showed signs of it. The way to beat the Dallas Cowboys is to run the ball. That's not their strong suit on their defense. Their strongest part of their defense is their pass rush. So, common sense, hey, not a great run defense. Let's run the ball. We have Dalvin Cook. Let's run the ball. No. Let's have Kirk Cousins drop back and get sacked 8 times. I mean, it boggles my mind. And listen, don't get me wrong, loved every moment of it. But it was a head-scratching moment because I'm like, all right, this game could probably be a close game if you just ran the ball. And then you got to a point where you couldn't run the ball because you were down so much. And then it was just feeding season for Micah Parsons and the boys. DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. I mean, it's crazy to me. Jaron Kearse ended up getting a sack in that game too, and did the skull clap. It's crazy that they went away from the run. You know, and like before we move on, as I was saying with the Bucs before, the Bucs, you know, with their season, the way that it looks, the rest of the schedule, this team's going to be there. And it's crazy to me that they're going to be there because they look so bad. But the most dominant team so far is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, all right, this is a team that has so many injuries. And, you know, that's all we hear from some of these teams. Oh, well, we have injuries, and that's the reason why we're not playing well. Oh, the Giants are missing all these guys. We're missing a whole, you know, wide receiver core. It doesn't matter for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are missing literally every wide receiver that they had. Yet, it doesn't matter. This is a team that literally only needs to run out Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and they'll win a game. I mean, it's really that simple. And I looked at this team because they ended up getting Kadarius Toney, which makes me laugh out goddamn loud because the Giants basically traded him for a bag of Skittles, and the guy will end up being a star when he stops getting hurt for the Chiefs because, I mean, the way that Andy Reid's going to use him, the way that Patrick Mahomes is going to get him the ball, you're going to really see what Kadarius Toney's all about, and I think I've already seen signs of it, and I know the kid is going to be an absolute star. But right now, he's got to stop getting hurt. But again, the Chiefs are just, they're them. They're that team. You know, and it's crazy, and I've said this almost every week, that we just, like, it's funny that we got into this season and people were down on Patrick Mahomes. They were down on the Chiefs. They lose Tyreek, this, that. And it's just, they're still number one. They're still number one. Justin Fields, been playing like a beast. Separated his shoulder. That's going to be a little bit of an issue, but he's been playing like a goddamn beast. And his prices are going up. If this team shows any kind of, you know, if they literally can just get some better players, you know, to add around him, you know, they made the trade for Chase Claypool. That's a good start. If they could get a running back and maybe a defense, I mean, this team could end up being very good with Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields will end up being a very good quarterback. And I've said this since the beginning. He's just one of those guys that just got drafted to a shitty team. And, like, that's the thing that sucks because you look at Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a star in this league, but he's just on a shitty team. I think they're going to get better, though. But, yeah, with Justin Fields, I mean, like, do we even have to look at his, like, I was just talking about Zach Wilson's prices. Now let's look at Justin Fields, and I mean, it's going to be absurd. So we're going to look at the same prices for, like, the same card. Okay, so Prism. So let's look at the silver. So the silver raw, okay? I mean, obviously, it from June, it's down. So June 4th, it sold for $400. This is a PSA 10. Oh, no, this is raw, actually. So it sold for $400, which is crazy to me for a raw card. Sold for $400 in June. As of today, it sold for $45. So it's kind of like, this is a raw card. It's a base. It's actually a silver, but it's, you know, it's kind of flattening out because he went up the beginning of this month to $150. Again, back up to $150, now down to about $45. But, I mean, as of yesterday, it sold for $107. So he's choppy. He's definitely choppy. Let's see for a PSA 10. Here's a silver. This sold in June for $1,076. And it sold as of Monday for $600. So, again, he's kind of like, you see the dip, but he's kind of flattening out. This is where you kind of want to see him at that price. But $600 for a PSA 10 of a silver for a rookie card for Justin Fields. That just shows you what people think about Justin Fields. But a hobby interest, as I'm telling you these prices, is he a buy, sell, or hold right now? And for me, he's a hold. It depends on where you are in the hobby. Obviously, if you're a flipper, this is a perfect card to have because you could just flip them right now for fucking $600. The pop is 141. So that's pretty good, if you have this card, for a pop at 141 for a PSA 10 of a silver. These aren't numbered, so there's a lot of them. The fact that you're getting and Prism's very hard. It's a very hard, product to get a goddamn 10 for. So it's crazy, but let's go on to some releases that are coming out, before we get out of here. So, sports cards here, brought to you by Ruts Breaks. Check them out. And then you could check out the best in the hobby, Backyard Breaks. So here we go. We'll go with Bowman Chrome that just came out today. So you are getting a 100 card base set and a 100 card Chrome prospect set that will feature stellar lineup of rookies, veterans, and top prospects from all over the globe. You will get 2 Chrome autographs per hobby box. You have some new ones. I'll bring up some new ones. So you got the Aqua Ray Wave Refractor Parallel. That's numbered to 199. It's only in hobbies. Also, a new one is a Yellow Refractor Parallel that is numbered to 75. You got the Superfractor, obviously, of 1 of 1. The prospect cards, you have some new ones as well. You have the Fuchsia Pink Vapor Refractor Parallel that's also to 199, only in hobby. You have the Aqua Pink Vapor Refractor Parallel, numbered to 125. That is also only in hobby. The Yellow Orange Vapor Refractor, that is numbered to 75. That's hobby only. And a Red Aqua Vapor Refractor Parallel, numbered to 5. Also hobby only. Some insert cards. You have It Came to the League. You have Shades of Greatness. You have Bowman Invicta. The 2021 AFL Fall Stars. You have the 2021 AFL MVP short print, which is new and it's only hobby. The Bowman Ascensions, which is new. You get 1 every 144 packs, so that's nice. You'll get an Orange Refractor Parallel numbered to 25, or also the Superfractor Parallel number 1 of 1. Autographs, you got some new ones. The Blue Ray Wave, the Gold Mini Diamond Refractor, that's numbered to 50, hobby only. The Orange Refractor and the Orange Shimmer Refractor, both to 25. Those are hobby only as well. The Orange Refractor Parallel Chrome Rookie Autograph, numbered to 25, is hobby as well. You got the Bowman Invicta Autograph Variations, Bowman Ascensions Autograph Variations, the AFL MVP Short Print Autograph, numbered to 100. Relics and Autograph Relics, we have the Chrome Auto Relic, which is varied in numbering. The Orange Refractor is hobby only, numbered to 25. The 2021 AFL Relics varied in numbering as well. is hobby only. So you have the orange refractor parallel numbered to 25, and you also have the super fractor parallel numbered 1 of 1. The new one also is 2021 AFL Relics autograph parallel varying numbering. And then you have the super fractor parallel 1 of 1. So it came out today. Now coming out Friday, we have the Bowman Chrome Baseball HTA box. So you'll get 3 Chrome autograph cards per HTA box. And basically, these are all, you're going to get like the same kind of cards. But here are the exclusives for the HTA. You have an HTA Choice refractor parallel numbered to 150. The green atomic refractor parallel to number 99. You have the gold shimmer refractor numbered to 50. Orange wave refractor parallel numbered to 25. And then the red wave refractor parallel to numbered to 5. And then a black mojo refractor, also 1 of 1. So those are the exclusives for the autographs. The Prime Chrome autographs, Prime Chrome signatures numbered to 50. The orange refractor numbered to 25 is HTA only as well. So those are the HTA exclusives. The pricing on these, and I forgot to get those, so I will get those right about now. I don't know why they didn't pop up. I should have put it down on my rundown here. But you know, Bowman Chrome is a huge release for especially baseball hobby enthusiasts. So the Chrome baseball hobby is going for $325, and the HTA box is also going for $340. So again, you get 3 autos in the HTA, you get 2 in the regular hobby box, and there's about a $30 difference. So that's up to you. But again, before we get out of here, I got these 2 pretty cool stories. LeBron Exquisite card story is definitely a crazy one. So this kid, Matthew Berger, he bought the 2003-2004 Exquisite rookie parallel LeBron James RPA. Got it graded. He bought it for $5,000. At the time, he was 21 years old. And you know, his dad thought he was crazy, you know, this and that, but he was really high on, you know, this card. And basically, you know, in the article basically says, like, if there was a Michael Jordan rookie exquisite card, how much would that go for? And that's kind of how he went off of it. At the time, these boxes were going for $500, which now they are absolutely absurd. This is the holy grail of NBA product, is exquisite. They don't make them anymore, obviously, so it's crazy, you know, what it is. So basically, 21 years old, he was looking at this card like, this is it. And he thought at the time that it'd be worth like $1 million. Eventually, obviously. So his father ended up passing away in 2011. And at the time of the funeral, so he had like a few close calls with this card, which is crazy. So he says, on the day of the funeral, we had family over at the house, and my brother was working on some electrical stuff. Something started smelling like smoke, and all of a sudden there was a fire in the attic. He forgot that he left the card in his father's closet. Fortunately, his brother's father-in-law was a firefighter and put out the fire, which was a bunch of wet towels, or with a bunch of wet towels. That LeBron card was resting on the top of the closet shelf 2 feet away from that attic fire. He also then put it in a safe deposit box, got it graded by Beckett. Beckett at the time was a leading grading service. Obviously, PSA is now. He got an 8.5 on that card. And he put the card up on eBay twice. And he said that he priced it over the market value at the time, figuring nobody would buy it. in 2016, someone accepted the buy it now price of $40,000. So, of course, that's $35,000 profit on that card. So, obviously he said, he would have been happy with it. And again, this guy's from Westchester, New York. And the person never paid for it. So he canceled the order. He put it up for auction this past week, and it sold. And it sold for more than $1 million. So you go from $5,000 on a card, and you get $1 million. That is absolutely absurd. So, a LeBron exquisite numbered 14 out of 23, which these are out of 23. So, numbered 14 out of 23 with a BGS of 9.5 gold label, sold for 1.8 in July. And in April, a BGS 9 sold for 5.2 million in a private sale brokered by PWCC. So this card is absurd. This is like, one of the holy grails that everybody wants to get. So it's crazy to see, what that guy's profit was. So now, before we get out of here, this is the last story. Luka Doncic card just sold in a PWCC auction. Numbered, it's 1 of 1. Logo man Luka. Graded 9 BGS. This card sold a couple of months ago, I believe it was, for $4.6 million. This card ended up, and that was privately sold for $4.6 million. That was raw. This guy got it graded, tried to sell it. In this auction, it ended up going for 3.1. That is a 32% change downward. And it is one of the biggest, I think actually is the biggest drop in price. But mind you, now the normal person that doesn't have millions of dollars, sits here and says, oh my God, he just lost $1.5 million on a card. That's crazy. But when you look at it as a whole, you look at it as a percentage. This guy lost 32% on it. If you take 32% off of a small dollar amount that all of us could really afford, it's really not that much. So for someone that can sit here and spend $4.6 million on a card, losing 32%, it's not crazy for them. But it is the biggest drop in price for any card ever. And through auction, this is the record. This broke a record. This 3.1 broke a record for the most amount. And, I mean, there's a lot of people that sit here and say, well, Luka really hasn't done anything. So why is this card going for so crazy? Why is this it going for such a crazy amount? He hasn't done anything. And, I mean, granted, he really hasn't. And I understand that. But it's hype. That's all it is. It's hype. That's how the hobby runs. It runs off of hype. And Luka is hyped up. 32%. So, I mean, crazy. $1.5 million losing it off of. So, I'm hoping to have Grant Telford from Backyard Breaks on soon. I've been in talks with him. We're just trying to figure out a time to eventually do it. But I will have him on. If you have any questions that you want me to ask Grant Telford of Backyard Breaks, let me know. I'm also in talks with Nikki Rips also to come on. And we had such a great time with Triz, I might have him back on as well. So if you have any questions for the Backyard Breaks boys, let me know. And I will try to have them answered on air. But that will do it for Running Up the Score for me, Jerry Napoleonello. Have fun. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Be safe on this Thanksgiving Eve. And let's go, boys. All right. That'll do it. I'm Jerry. Be breezy.
Be breezy.
And it is all over! You've been listening to Running Up the Score. We run up the score on sports radio.